Good morning, students. I am Shomajit sir. Today I am here to deliver my lecture on topic Aestivation and Placentation. We'll see the different types of aestivation and placentation. So watch the entire lecture to get basics out of it. So without any delay, let's start with the topic Aestivation and Placentation from the chapter Morphology of Flowering Plants. So let's start. So let's start with the topic Aestivation. So it is a mode of arrangement of sepals of petals in a flower bud, right? So what is aestivation? It is a mode of arrangement of sepals and petals in a flower bud. So different estivations can be seen in sepals and petals. So what are different types of estivations are there? One is velvet, one is twistus, one is imbricate, and is vexillary or papillomaceous. Four different type of estivations can be seen in petals and sepals. Estivation means the orientation, the structure they are placed in. Alright, so first one is velvet, twisted, imbricate, vexillary or papilionous. So first one you can see for velvet, the sepals or petals are connected end to end. In case of twisted, you can see one is outside, another is inside. One sepal is outside and inside, inside. This type of formation are there. In imbricate, you can see three are there in a twisted fashion. All right, three are there in a twisted fashion, and one is outer, one is inner. So in imbricate, there are three petals are present in a twisted fashion, and one petal is inside, another petal is outside. And in vexillary, you can see the outermost is the bigger petal, then two inner, and followed by two innermost. Now we come to velvet estivation. You see sepals or petals in a whole just touch one another at the margins without overlapping. So we can see this in calotropis. You can see velvet estivation. Your five petals are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Five are connected at end to end. You can see this is the orientation of velvet estivation. This orientation can be present in sepals or in petals. Next, moving to twisted fashion. So what happens in twisted? You can see one margin of the appendages overlaps that of the next one, and so on. All right. So one overlaps the another. It is a twisted fashion. One inside, another outside. Inside, outside. Inside, outside. This fashion is gone. All right. So example is China rose, ladyfinger, and cotton. You can see this type of pattern. One inside, one outside. So here is also five petals are there. It can be five petals. It can be five sepals. If in sepal, then this type of estivation will be found in sepal. If in petals, then this type of estivation will be found in sepal. All right. Next is imbricate. Now let's see the imbricate pattern. So in imbricate, you will see the margins of sepals or petals overlap one another, but not in any particular directions. Right? They also are overlapping, but not in particular directions. But you can see the petals. Three petals are there in a twisted fashion, and one is entirely inner side, another one is outside. Example you can see in cassia, or you can see also in gulmohar. So you can see the diagrams given in the right hand side. Next we have a vexillary estivation, vexillary or papillomaceous estivation. This can be seen in pea and beans. So in this what happens, there are five petals. The largest petal is standard, overlaps the two lateral petals, that is wings, which in turn overlaps the two smallest anterior petals, that is keel. Alright, so outside two petals, that is the largest, called standard, then followed by two inner those are called wings, and followed by two innermost, they are called keel. So this type of estivation we can see in pea and beans. The right hand side the pictures are given. Now in androecium, what happens in androecium? It is composed of stamens, and each stamen represents the male reproductive organs. Alright, and a stamen consists of a stalk, that is also called filament, and anther. You can see anther and filament, these combine to form a androecium. So you can see there is a male reproductive part of a flower. Now each anther is usually bilobed, and each lobe has two chamber called pollen sac. So pollen sac contains pollen grains. A sterile stamen is called staminoid. Alright. So a sterile stamen is called a staminoid. So when stamens are attached to petals, they are called epipetalous, and when stamens are attached to perianth, they are called epiphyllous. So example is brinjal, example is lily. Alright, so this is epipetalous and epiphyllous. So when the stamens are attached to petals, they are called epipetalous, and when the stamens are attached to a perianth, they are called epiphyllous. Perianth means it's kind of flower where petals and sepals are not distinguished, cannot be distinguished. Right? Example is lily. So you can see in figure the epipetalous and epiphyllous condition. Next, if the stamens in a flower are free, they are called polyandrous, and if the stamens are united, they are called synandrous. You can see the polyandrous condition in lotus flower in the left hand side of the diagram, and you can see synandrous condition, synandrous flower condition you can see in China rose. On the right hand side you can see the picture. Next is synandrous stamens are of many types. One is monadelphous, diadelphous, and polydelphous. So you can see the figure below: monadelphous, diadelphous, and polydelphous. Monadelphous means stamens are united in one bunch or one bundle. So example is China rose. Here stamens are united in one bunch or in one bundle. Example is China rose. Diadelphous, here stamens are united in two bundles. Example we can find in P. And polydelphous, your stamens are united in more than two bundles. Those are example found in citrus. So when they are found in one bundle, they are monadelphous. Two bundles, diadelphous. If they are more than two bundles, are called polydelphous. So example of monadelphous is China rose. Example of diadelphous is P, and example of polydelphous is citrus. Now there may be a variation in the length of filament within the flower. Example is salvia and mustard. So the length of the filament will vary from flower to flower. Now moving to gynoecium. So in gynoecium, or it is also called pistil, it is a female reproductive part of a flower, and it is made up of one or more carpels. So carpel has three parts. One is stigma, style, ovary. Alright, so gynoecium, another name is carpels, and two or more carpels combine to form gynoecium, and carpels have three parts: stigma, style, ovary. So these are the parts of gynoecium: stigma, style, ovary. So you can see the figure in the right hand side. You can see the stigma, style, ovary structure. So stigma is what? It is usually at the tip of the style and is the receptive surface for pollen grains. Alright, so at the tip of style, the stigma is present and it is receptive surface for pollen grains. The insect will pollinate. When insects pollinate, it will keep the pollen grains in the stigma part. Alright, so what is style? An elongated tube that connects ovary with stigmas. Alright, what is style? It is an elongated tube that connects ovary to stigma. Now what is ovary? It is the enlarged basal part on which the style lies. Each ovary bears one or more ovules attached to a flat cushion-like placenta. Now gynoecium, polycarpellary pistil, pistil with many carpel. There are two types. One is apocarpus and syncarpus. So when carpels are free, example lotus and rose, it's called apocarpus, carpus. Alright, you can see in lotus when carpels are free, and when the carpels are fused, example we can see in mustard and tomato. the carpels are fused there. So in syncarpus the carpels are fused, in apocarpus the carpels are free. Next we move to placentation. So what is placentation? It is arrangement of ovules on the ovary. Alright. So what is placentation? It is arrangement of ovules on the placenta within the ovary. So what is placentation? Again I repeat, it is arrangement of ovules on the ovary within the ovary. Alright. So you can see the different types of placentation. Again I repeat the diagram. Again I repeat the definition of placentation. It is arrangement of ovules on the placenta within the ovary. So it is of many types. You can see marginal, axial, parietal, free central, basal. So five, you can see 5 different types of placentation can be seen. So aestivation is both for petals and sepals, whereas placentation is only found within the ovary because it's the arrangement of ovules. So 5 different types are given. You can see the diagrams on the right hand side. So first one, marginal placentation. What is a marginal placentation? Here the placenta forms a ridge along the ventral suture of the ovary, and the ovules are born on this ridge forming 2 rows. Example P. Alright. So you can see a ventral suture of the ovary and ovules are born on the ridge forming 2 rows. So you can see in the right hand side the ovule diagram. Next you can see axial placentation. You can see the figure on top. Here in axial placentation, the ovules are attached to it in a multilocular ovary. Alright. So here the placenta is axial and the ovule are attached to a multilocular ovary. You can see in China rose, tomato and lemons. You can see the axial placentation. Next we have parietal placentation. What is parietal placentation? Here the ovules develop on the inner wall of the ovary or on the peripheral part. Alright. So parietal means the ovules are present at the peripheral part. So ovary is one chamber and it becomes two chamber to the formation of false septum. Here the ovary is one chamber, but later on it becomes two chamber due to the presence of false septum. Example, we can see this in mustard and argemony. So in parietal placentation, the ovules are located on the peripheral part. Now the next placentation is free central. You can see the diagram on top. Here the ovules are born on central axis and septa are absent. You can see the ovules are born on the central axis and septa are absent. Example is dianthus and primrose. Now next is the basal placentation. You can see the structure on top. Here the placenta develops at the base of the ovary. That's why it's called basal, because the placenta develops at the base of the ovary and a single ovule is attached to it. Alright, so here the placenta develops at the base of the ovary and a single ovule is attached to it. So example, we can see sunflower, marigold. So you can see after fertilization the ovule develops into seed and the ovary matures into fruit. So after the fertilization is over, I have taught you the structure of androecium, the structure of gynoecium. So after pollination, when the pollens fall on the stigma, it will then move to style and ovary and their fertilization will take place. So after fertilization, the ovules develops into seed and the ovary matures into fruit. Thank you student. This was all about the entire video lecture. Here I have discussed about aestivation and placentation. Alright, so this was from the chapter Morphology of Living Plants. So I'm Shomuji sir signing off for today, and again we'll meet in the next class. Thank you students.